If you and I just complain about the Republicans didn't do this and the Democrats did do this and wokeism in schools and gender theory, but we don't actually start building new institutions, at the end of the day, we're going to go nuts. And by the way, that's why a lot of the talking heads that you see over the years, they get progressively crazier, because if you're just screaming about stuff but not changing stuff, you're going to be crazy. And since you are hosting my show, I will say something nice about the fine folks at the Daily Wire. Look, you guys are doing the same freaking thing. What you guys did with Jeremy's razors as an attack, instead of just being attacked, you said, no, we will attack Harry's. They make up this nonsense. It had to do with your tweet. You guys poured, I think, millions of dollars into an incredible campaign. You're now selling your own razors. You're launching a $100 million campaign for Daily Wire Kids. That's very much in line with the ideas of the book. Politicians are not here to save us. You either better figure out a way to save yourself, or you better find some people who can help you save yourself together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rubin Report. I am not Dave Rubin. I have sort of coiffed and sprayed hair. I am wearing a tailored blazer, but I am not Dave Rubin. I am Michael Knowles. My guest on today's episode of the Rubin Report is Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, a New York Times bestselling author and the author of the new book, Don't Burn This Country. Dave, thank you so much for coming on your show.
Michael, thank you so much for having me on my show. And before I say anything else, does it hurt that you have to refer to me as New York Times bestselling author, because they did not put you on the list? Now, your book sold like 10 times what technically should have put you on the list, but they felt they could stick it to you. For some reason, they didn't stick it to me. Maybe they're going to stick it to me with this one.
Yeah.
But how does that feel to you? I mean, we all know that the New York Times is complete nonsense and bunk and propaganda and everything else. But nonetheless, as someone hosting someone else's show and having to say that,
I am very much a non-New York Times bestselling author. And for a while, we were all joking, and you would say, you wear this as a badge of pride, because the New York Times, we all know they're bunk. The New York Times bestseller list, like all the rest of their newspaper, is an editorial product. There was actually a court decision about this. So they really can just pull you off the list no matter how many copies you sell. So that's one side of it. But on the other side, and this actually gets to what you talk about in the book, it does matter. The fact that the radical left controls all of these institutions will determine where your book gets placed in the bookstores. It will determine if it goes on classroom curricula. It will determine how it's talked about, how it's reviewed. It really matters. And we're now just talking about one small subset of just one institution on the left. This is true of all of the left-wing institutions. So there's a lot I want to talk about in your book. But first, because I'm hosting the show, this is my show today, thank you very much, I want to talk about my favorite part of the book, which actually comes in the middle. And it's, in the book, it's a sort of natural follow-up to Don't Burn This Book, your first book. And it talks about all sorts of ideas and different parts of philosophy, libertarian philosophy, conservative philosophy. But what I love is in the middle, you don't just talk about ideas, you talk about doing something. You talk about not just how we're going to tweak this policy, how we're going to tweak this. You actually built something. You yourself, you, Dave Rubin, built something called Locals. Locals, now affiliated with Rumble, which is a separate conservative, or at least non-woke, institution.
Yeah, non-woke institution. That's really all it is. I wouldn't say it's conservative or libertarian or progressive or Democrat or Republican or anything else. We basically just wanted to be a neutral platform. And, for all the years, Knowles, you and I have been having these chats on each other's shows, regardless of who's hosting what, for a couple of years now. And even before I knew you, I was having all of these talks with all of these people, and we were talking about free speech, and we're being censored on these platforms, and we know about deboosting and shadow banning and all of these other Orwellian terms, but nobody's doing anything about it. And it really started hitting me. It was like, man, the cavalry ain't coming. There's nobody coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. And it's kind of funny now, 4 years after having created Locals and since we've merged with Rumble, and my idea with Locals, of course, was, hey, I just need a digital home. I need a place where I own my video, I own my audio, I own the user data so that if I ever want to leave Locals, not that I would want to leave, I created it. And by the way, I think only one creator out of our tens of thousands has ever left, and it had nothing to do with Locals. But I thought, let me create this thing and then see if other people want it too. So we really created it for me first, and then we realized, oh wow, we've actually got a business here. So this is pretty great. Because otherwise, just talking about the stuff, and this is an ironic position, I suppose, for two guys that talk for a living, at some point it starts making you crazy, right? If you and I just complain about the Republicans didn't do this and the Democrats did do this and wokeism in schools and gender theory, but we don't actually start building new institutions, at the end of the day, we're gonna go nuts. And by the way, that's why a lot of the talking heads that you see over the years, they get progressively crazier, because if you're just screaming about stuff but not changing stuff, you're going to be crazy. And since you are hosting my show, I will say something nice about the fine folks at the Daily Wire. Look, you guys are doing the same freaking thing. What you guys did with Jeremy's Razors as an attack, instead of just being attacked, you said, no, we will attack Harry's. They make up this nonsense. It had to do with your tweet. You guys poured, I think, millions of dollars into an incredible campaign. You're now selling your own razors. You're launching a $100 million campaign for Daily Wire Kids. That's very much in line with the ideas of the book. Politicians are not here to save us. You either better figure out a way to save yourself, or you better find some people who can help you save yourself together. Not as a collective, but really as a community. Not as just, oh, I'm a cog in a machine, but as, oh, I have shared values with these people. Let's build some things. That's why I created Locals. That's why we merged with Rumble. That's why we do stuff together. And that's what people are looking for. They're not looking for us to just bicker over marginal tax rates or even the more existential stuff. They're not just watching us to have the endless debate about abortion, which of course we can do and we've done before. They want answers. That's what I'm interested in. Otherwise, Knowles, don't you feel that? Like we would just, don't you feel it if you just do this every day? You just talk about this stuff every day, but you don't do anything. What's going to stop you from just being a complete talking head, screaming lunatic? And there's plenty of those. They're all on MSNBC. That's
right. This is something that's really refreshing about the book, but more importantly, it's refreshing about what is happening right now, what you're doing with Locals, what we've done with Jeremy's Razors, and now DW Kids. We're not going to take our kids to Disney World. We're going to take them to Wire World whenever. I shouldn't even say that, because Jeremy's going to go dump $50 million into that the minute he even hears the idea. There is this issue on the right, and we're all guilty of it. On the right, on the left, you can take a room of 100 leftists, maybe they have different interests and different points of view. You can get them on board with something. You can get them to work in concert. I mean, that's what we're seeing with the woke corporations and the big tech platforms and the government and the media and the schools. They all get on the same page, no matter what their slight disagreements might be. When you get into a room full of right-wingers, you get, if it's 100 right-wingers, you're going to get 100 different opinions, and they're going to fight tooth and nail over every issue. And a lot of those debates really do matter. A lot of those debates are really important, but they paralyze you. They stop you from doing anything. And so I'm just so happy to see, okay, while we're figuring out whether it's marginal tax rates or it's life and death, while we're doing that, how about we build up some institutions that will even permit us to have that discussion?
Well, the thing is, Michael, the joke, it's like if you go to a libertarian conference, in essence, you're just going to have, 15 opinions. You're going to have 10 people at the table, 15 opinions on whether you should have driver licenses or not, and then no one ever accomplishes anything, right? Yeah. But there's a reason. There's a fundamental reason that does happen with people on the right and it doesn't happen with people on the left. And it gets to sort of what I just hinted at, the difference between the collective and a community. They love the collective, that, we're just pieces of the machine, all of us, and we're just completely interchangeable. And actually, whether you're black or gay or lesbian or blind or whatever else, that matters more than whatever remaining individual thought you have. Now, on the right, what you want to do is, if you believe in the individual first, that you, Michael Knowles, believe it or not, are capable of logical, thoughtful, reasoned thinking. You have some sense of how you can live your life, and that the system should just exist to allow you to flourish. And then hopefully after you've figured out some stuff for yourself, maybe you meet a gal that you like and you start having kids, and then maybe you move to a community that some of the people there are somewhat in line with what you believe, and then you can flourish and build businesses up. That's the bottom-up approach. They like the other approach, which is there's a machine, now fit into the machine. And I get why that's attractive to young people. That, in many ways, is what we're fighting. That's kind of what the book is about. We're fighting something that is much bigger than us because it's about the human condition. People just want to fit in. And if the last 2 years of COVID taught us anything, they will give up almost everything that is good and true in the name of fitting in. That's what I want to fight. That's why the word dystopia is in the subtitle, because this is a dystopia now. We are in a futuristic movie. What happens in every futuristic movie? Big government, controlling speech. People are afraid to talk to each other. People are locked in their houses. There's a pandemic. Overreaching government. It's like the pieces are all here. We just need Schwarzenegger to come in and, defend the three-boobed woman.
Right, that poor three-boobed woman. We've got to protect her. Won't somebody please think about
Remember,
the
they shoot her right up close. Remember, the guy just, yeah.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.